Next After, which is a company that does a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of research on giving, just put out an end of year ebook that had a lot of data points. And there was one section that was on Giving Tuesday. So they actually compared Giving Tuesday to end of year giving. And there were just 2 points that came out to me that I thought were really interesting. So they talk about the conversion rates. They don't do a great job. Normally Next After is very thorough on this sort of thing, but they don't tell me what the conversion rate is of, like what the denominator is, what are we actually measuring. But regardless, conversion rate for Giving Tuesday is 2%. The conversion rate for end of year giving is 3.5%. So automatically we're saying that people that are receiving those pieces of communication, presumably on Giving Tuesday, are much less likely to give than they are at the end of the year. And then what is a little bit more easier for me to wrap my arms around is the average gift on Giving Tuesday is about $140. The average gift at the end of year is $250. And on the last day of the year, the 31st, it jumps up to just under $300. So we're looking at the average gift size is half on Giving Tuesday of what it is at end of year giving. And I'm generally speaking, you will not find me ever telling organizations that they're asking too much, because I find that most organizations don't ask enough. But in this particular case, I'm just wondering, if you're going to ask on December 2nd for a gift, are you doing yourself a disservice by not waiting 3 weeks and making that ask on December 20th as opposed to December 2nd? Because you're going to, according to the data, get double the size of a gift. Like that to me is what invites the skepticism.
Right. I think that only builds on what we've talked about so far, which is, we've talked about the cultural habitual piece of it. And now the data, I'm not saying is confirming it, but at least in a certain aspect of it, with the people that are already in your sphere as givers. And it's almost like a no-brainer not to ask them at
That's
that
the
point.
question. Is it better than nothing? Because generally speaking, asking is better than not asking. Or is it coming at the expense of the ask that you're going to make anyway in 3 weeks from now?
Right. So the next test is sort of like, let's do it where we don't ask then, we nudge then, right? And then see what the results are, because we nudged on the Giving Tuesday. We use it as a day to thank, an update, report, whatever it is. And we nudge towards that end of year gift. And then after, we can tell Next After this, go back and poll the donors, survey the donors if you can, and ask them what drove them to give or to give more this year, and see if that was more valuable. Again, as a marker in the calendar, as an anchor in the calendar to do something, right? But not specifically to make a request. So that's why I think I think you looking back at the data, I think is super good, because the data doesn't, well, the data tells a lot of different stories depending on the story you're looking to tell, right? So a lot of data gets tossed out there, and Giving Tuesday has a ton of data, although not all the data I would really want, honestly. But just as an example, if a gazillion organizations are doing something on Giving Tuesday, there has to be a way today that you can really coalesce all of that information and hold on to all of that and then use all that, rather than just simply sampling from a handful or whatever the number of organizations that it is. And then really explaining how you establish what the numbers and the dollars are. That would be really valuable too. Because I wouldn't want to include numbers from organizations that aren't participating on that time of the year to make the numbers look better. Anyway, but I definitely feel like what you're adding here, I mean, to me, as a leader of an organization, it would be hard. I'd be hard pressed to explain why I would ask you now for the gift if I'm going to ask you again in 3 weeks. When else are you asking for a gift twice in 3 weeks? Even on new donors, right? You and I have talked about the idea that if you get a new donor, when's the right time to ask for the next gift? And the shocking data point that nobody believes is sooner than you think, right? What is it within 3 months? I think it's right. 3 months is the number, or less than six, certainly less than 6 months, right? You're asking for another gift.
90 days.
Whereas everybody else is like heading for the hills at that point in terms of asking for another gift. The data says the exact opposite. And so, like, if I was running an organization and the board asked me, are we doing Giving Tuesday? Right. I would say this is what we're doing Giving Tuesday. And the reason why we're doing it this way on Giving Tuesday is because I want end of year giving to be better. And so we're not asking today. We're doing a lot of other things today, but we're not asking for money today. We're specifically not asking for money today to help us, bolster what we're trying to do at the end of the year, and the belief that that effort 4 weeks in advance is going to actually really have a market impact and increase on what we're doing at the end of the year.